All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's. This is our weekend offering, right? Our broiler chickens offering. And actually, I've done this. I'm not mistaken. I think I hit the public button. So, whoop, there it is on YouTube. Oh yeah, look at that. There's like about a dozen people sitting over there. So I don't know whether those are TRIers or the public, but this is sort of our weekend offering. We like to have fun. Um, what are you saying? Hey, Joshua, nice seeing you the other day. Oh, yeah. And I love that about you guys. You know, some of the relationships, some of the friendships, some of the camaraderie that I see here, oh, it just touches my heart. And I don't think the YouTube is streaming yet. Well, that's cool. To hell with them. Who cares? I mean, really, I every once in a while, I just hit that sort of public button just to, to let the public know. I see that it says there's 19 people over there. So somebody's over there. There's a considering Flabos. There's an interesting name. Hello, considering Flabos. So does somebody have the YouTube page up? I think it's going. I'm not mistaken. I think I hit the public button. So there it is on YouTube. Anyway, so there it is. Oh, look at Joshua Doucette says, I'm a TRIer. Way to go, Joshua. Out working, so got to see this thing in the public ping. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. We are here. We are here. Yay, you're here. Awesome. Okay, well, anyway, let's get to work. I've got Liam in about, I got to take off here probably in about an hour or so, so not going to be talking too much here today, but you all know Brian loves the sound of his own voice, so you might as well sit back and relax. We got quite an adventure ahead of us here. Yeah, what do you say about that? I mean, obviously, you guys are very interested in the Bitcoin story. So, where do we start with yield Bitcoin? I did put out a tweet, and this is kind of like bigger picture kind of stuff. I was doing a study of the 2013, 2014, face rip peak. And what's fascinating about this is they blame this rally on the Willy bot. You guys remember? Does anybody remember the Willy bot? Steve's waving from YouTube. Hey, cool, Steve. Hi, Steve. Oh, there you are. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see you, Steve Schilling. You're the man. Brian XAOS says, "What's up, Brian?" I don't know where Brian XAOS. What's up, dude? Nice to see you. But anyway, they blamed this rally here on an algo that sort of went out of control. And I always made the argument that the worst thing that could possibly happen to Karpellis was this happening. Because if the price of Bitcoin had just sort of bumped along, there were enough new deposits coming in that he could basically take money out at his leisure, right? And if price is just sort of going sideways, there isn't going to be a mad rush to cash in and take your money. So, a combination of the Willy bot and basically Karpellis got his nuts in the ringer spending everybody's money. The market takes off and they're all demanding, hey, I'd actually like to cash in now and go buy my Lambo, please. And they found out, oh, Mr. Karpellis actually spent your money. Sorry. I find it fascinating that, you never know what this story of the cycle is going to be. But I find it fascinating that this market basically went parabolic straight up. And we all remember this from last fall. It was just ridiculous. And there were some people in the community, hats off to them, like Michael, who was in our level 1 program. He was just fucking cashing in. Cha-ching, 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 just take profits and Merry Christmas. And there were a lot of people on the site that did that. So proud of you guys. Play from a position of strength. Make sure to pay yourself. You guys have heard me constantly say, make sure to pay yourself. Make sure to pay yourself. TRI itself, we've got probably, I don't know, about 150,000 or so just sitting in cash and cash equivalents. There he is. And James, I think actually he's lost a lot of weight. He used to be so roly-poly-oly, eh? I think he's even, I think if you actually find a picture of Karpellis nowadays, he's like a total thin guy, right? and I don't know, maybe eating sushi for a couple years and living a very, quiet life. Anyway, that's another conversation for another day. The point here is that I believe that we're actually going through a very natural unwinding of this nutso bull. And the interesting thing here is, we had Willie Bod, Mount Gox disaster, right? All that. What was really interesting about this is I believe that this rally was completely manufactured. I believe that certain political powers that actually are running the United States of America right now, which is extremely scary, they have very little conscious. Conscious is not something that really comes to mind when I think about the political leadership of the United States, which is really sad. I don't know whether, how long lasting this is. We just have to live in this world. But I do believe, and I was telling the community all along here, we found lots of, quote unquote regulators. Does anybody remember what was the famous quote from the regulators here that I found very, very suspicious? Does anybody remember what that was? Our hands are very good, Joshua. Oh, excellent, Graham. Oh, good. So you guys do remember. So the regulators all through here were basically telling the public that somebody else is fucking around with this thing, which, again, a little bit sad. I mean, welcome to capitalism. And, the sad part about it is, do you think the robber barons of the 19th century, everybody who's taken my class program knows the story of Jay Gould. I suppose you could argue there's a lot of parallels between the capitalists that are sort of running the United States of America right now and a lot of those robber barons from the latter part of the 19th century. So we had a big fundamental event that I believe price was pushed into, the CME listing of futures contracts. What I find even fascinating now, and if you guys can help me with this, I'd really appreciate it. We have two different futures exchanges that are technically trading Bitcoin right now, but the issue here is only one of the futures exchanges is actually being forced to report, which really confuses me. Why is this happening? So, on the site and stuff, we like to, we're constantly checking out the COT reports. And actually, it was really cool. I was so impressed. And it just shows you guys, and this is why I love this community so much. Like, we have Bobo actually went and plotted this data. So he actually has charts now. But what I found really fascinating about this is we can go and we can look at the Chicago Board option, the Chicago Board Options Exchange. And I still haven't figured this out. Why on earth is the Chicago Board Options Exchange trading futures contracts? This doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, it makes perfect sense that they're trading VIX futures. That makes total sense to me because it's a volatility index on options. But why on earth why is the Bitcoin traded here? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. But, it is what it is. Interesting breakdown here in that, and I've sort of talked about this on the Twitter community, we can't even really interpret this data set until we actually start to see the people that actually use Bitcoin in some sort of commercial venture actually taking positions here. Because literally when you look to the COT reports, we actually look to what the commercials are doing, and because they're the smart money, and they, their whole business model is to get rid of risk. So they will take the opposite side of whatever they believe the trend is, because they're just simply, their job is to get rid of price risk. So if that's the case, and you can see there's just zeros right across here, what this really tells me is Bitcoin is still very much just a speculative venture. I thought this was interesting. These numbers seem to be firming up a bit here for the institutional player, smart money, whatever the hell you want to call them. In that this was heavily on the short side coming out of the gate. But you can see it's firming up a bit. And if Bobo's around today, he did post his COT charts that he's sort of updating manually on his Excel spreadsheets. And they actually show a W forming in the institutionals positions. They're net short, but there is a W coming in. And what's really interesting is, sadly, of course, the public usually takes the wrong position. But we actually see a bit of an M coming in on the public. So you can see the public is starting to get a little chicken shit here, right? And they're starting to dump. The relationship is still, I would argue, skewed to the bear. And of course, the public always takes the wrong side of the trade, and you can see how heavily long over short they are. So I don't think we're done, but at least it's encouraging that we're not, like Black Diamond ski slope anymore. At least we're trying to like level out. And, as I said just a moment ago, what I find really perplexing about this, and I don't quite understand this, is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CME contract, is like 5 times the size of that CBOE contract. 5 times. 5 times as big. That's huge. So would it be of value for us to know what these guys are doing? Right? We go over to, I think they even have Bitcoin futures on here, don't they? Where is it? Is it under equity? I can't remember. On here somewhere. Bitcoin, there it is. So you even go to the quote board on the CME. That's not what I wanted. Where's the quote board? Here we are. And you can see there's 1,473 contracts traded here. Remember, this is 5 times the size of the CBOE contract. So that means 5 times 1,400. That's a bit of Bitcoin, eh? That's like 7,000 Bitcoins. And you go back over to the Chicago Board Options Exchange. Remember, these contracts are only on 1 Bitcoin, right? And the total open interest that they're reporting here is 6,000 contracts. So quite literally what that means is this is, 6,000 contracts, but this is right here is 7,000 contracts at least, if not more. And that's just traded on the day. And yet they're not reporting the COT report for this. So again, this is, where am I going with all of this? Unfortunately, I got a funny feeling the public's being played a little bit with this report. So we have to be careful with this data. We're not getting the full picture. And if anything, for people on the public and stuff like that that really aren't participating, on the site, of course, we do these daily briefs every day. And we spend lots of time in the lounge. We're constantly, posting these charts and talking about this. So it's not really anything new. But I think for the public, it's pretty important that, we take these reports with a big grain of salt right now. And frankly speaking, if Big Brother's listening, why the fuck don't we have these CME reports? I mean, what the fuck? You're only giving us half the story here. And clearly this is getting back to that conversation. Our hands are tied. Somebody in the YouTube post says Brian's getting political. The Illuminati pumping BTC. Well, the problem here is this is capitalism. I mean, you can call it the Illuminati. You could call it the Anunnaki. I don't really give a shit who you call it. I definitely think there's a lot of funny business going on here, and we just can't just blindly accept what we're being told here, because I think, and I see a lot of people in the public who are just taking this on face value as this is the shit. But I would, number one, say that this report is incomplete. We're missing a big participant here. And then number two, what the fuck's going on here with the CME? Something's just not right there. So, for the public, I wanted to mention that right out of the gate. Now, getting back to sort of current, what the hell's going on here? And of course, you're getting a big old dose of Brian's rhetoric here today, eh? But what the hell? This is my website, so I'm going to sit on my pulpit and bark like I want it. I'm just playing. Okay, so I wanted to mention, where was I? That tweet that I put out. Where the hell is it? Here it is. You guys probably, especially people on YouTube and stuff, you probably remember I used to put these charts out constantly. And we used to remember, and how ironic, just a year ago, Do you guys remember when we used to joke about things like Amanda's penthouse and stuff, and us climbing the wall of worry and all that? And I still find it amusing that, you know, have we even gotten back? No, we haven't even gotten back. Here is Amanda's penthouse, dash sort of comparison, sitting at $4,000 a Bitcoin here. And, you know, I just find it incredibly amusing. And it's really just, it's kind of a sad commentary on the public just getting involved way too late. But hopefully you guys can see and everybody remembers these, because I used to put these tweets out all the time. I mean, here's the bottom at $319 a Bitcoin. Excuse me, 318. And, you know, little old ladies, and this is why I love this strategy, right? Bang, out goes half, bang, out goes half, you know, bang, out goes half, bang, out goes half, bang, out goes half. We just missed the next double. And the irony of it all is there's no reason to leave that, or, you know, remove that order. You never know if the market's going to hit that or not. Really don't have an opinion, just, you know, run your business of trading. But I find it fascinating how through this, you know, and really the irony of it all, it's only the end of February. So really this has only been a couple months, but wow, has the sentiment ever turned in this space? And I also noticed too that, you know, there's people that are sort of higher ups that are also seeing this dramatic sentiment shift in the Bitcoin story. Ironically enough, and this was so hard, you know, people on YouTube who are watching and maybe you don't know me, you know, you'd like to learn how to trade and how to make money from trading. You know, if there's one thing that you can learn from Brian, it's this concept of the good old reload zones. It's funny. I had one guy who I highly respect, very smart, intelligent gentleman. He went through the whole level 1 program. And as we were climbing up here, he's like, no way, Brian, this is never going to come back. This is it. And it came back to here, and I'm like, Greg. And he's like, fuck you. It's just, it's quite, it just, I mean, obviously anybody who bought up top here, they're dying 1,000 deaths, but holy Jesus, is this ever a lesson for reload zones? I'd also said to the public too, and I got pretty fortunate in that we had buy orders working all the way down here, and we got a nice fill on our basket buying back against this dump here. But I made it perfectly clear to the public that I was willing, and I still have buy orders, but I'm still very willing to be a buyer on dumps down into here. But at the same time too, this rally was so violent that really, I think it was actually a little bit, what's the term I'm looking for? Maybe wishful thinking, maybe. I don't know whether that's the right term to use or not. But if you didn't sell some on this dead cat bounce, I feel a little bit badly for you. I've actually taken them off here, but what I did was I actually staged half Bitcoin sells from $10,000 up. So I was selling. I actually got half of my sell orders filled on this rally. And then she goes and, wow, what a cliche. Let's see if I can do this. How are we going to do this? Can't see that. Let's move this over here. So we have an old rule that just simply says that, and I learned this from an old New York Merc trader, gentleman by the name of Ray Burchett. We like to affectionately, because Burchett's too difficult to say, we like to call him Ray Barbecue. We'll meet you at Ray's Barbecue on the site. But I learned this concept, 38.2, and the power of 38.2 from Mr. Burchett. And his simple rule was try not to discern about whether this is still a bear or whether this is a bull until 38.2 has been resolved. And I got to tell you, I mean, this is just a glorious working example of that concept. Yeah, and what's interesting too is for our level tours, I guess a couple weeks ago, and one student, China Tim here? Yeah, there he is. Just absolutely loves this channel concept. So I'm so glad that the stuff that I teach you guys, you can actually directly use in your trading. But you can clearly see this channel, and I've drawn the channel off of this reaction low here and the market structure top here, and I think it basically defines our universe now. And what I find fascinating is we had basically 38.2, which you can literally set your watch to. I suppose this number should be crisped up here. What does that say? 19,850. Let's just make sure that's correct. 19,850. Boom. And was this 6,001? Isn't that interesting? Huh. This is this tether, though, so you have to be careful with this crazy tether. My hunch is there was probably so many fucking buy orders sitting there at 6,000 that they just didn't want to give them the fills. You have to treat this tether with a huge grain of salt. And of course, we could have a whole conversation about this crazy tether thing, but that's a conversation for another day. So long and short of it here, and this was interesting, right? This was right into Bitcoin Dad. We need to support the community, all that kind of talk. And I guess, what I'm thinking is, obviously big swish, big down move, got the public shitting their pants, into, overbought, oversold indicators getting dramatically oversold. I think we even had divergences starting to develop in here. So some sort of dead cat bounce rally made complete sense. Could you take advantage of it? I sure hope you did. It was a nice little rally window. And the cool part about it for, TRI is we actually were selling into this rally. So, we pocketed some nice money. We had actually just a fucking awesome, I'm talking to the public here, but we had just probably my favorite trade of the past month or two was our site sort of head programmer, Sjord, is absolutely in love with this OMG. I don't really know the fundamental story here, but he's like, Brian, I totally love this story. So we're coming down into a level. And so I was like, okay, well, that's a half decent trade level. We're coming back down in value. We bought it. And on the bounce, and all our target was just a 50% retrace of that range, we actually got a double off. And look where we sold. So you can tell there's a whole bunch of other people selling halves on doubles too. So this is probably my favorite trade out of the past month or two. So I was so pleased with this trade. But, just like Bitcoin, could this thing work its way right back down, maybe come down and, candle body lows, top of value, reload zone, maybe even a kiss of this trend line again from this side? Totally plausible. And, unlike, Bitcoin could only do 38.2, at least this guy could rally a bit more. So that's encouraging. But, full disclosure, if we come back down into here, I'm probably just going to go buy back the coins that I sold up top here. All right, so back to the Bitcoin story. And, we could look at about a half a dozen. Actually, this ADA, look at that chart. We should keep an eye on this, guys. But I don't really see a hell of a lot that's really got my attention here. And if anything, what I'm really worried about is, professional football players. Oh, boy. They are going to get schooled. And I still don't understand why people love this Ripple so much. I mean, to me, Ripple is like is a non-crypto. It's like if you believed in the decentralized thesis, this is the last coin in the world you should be buying. But anyway, long and short of it here, I see that, just like that, that trend line kind of conversation. In fact, if we talk about horizontal support and resistance, you can see where you were supposed to be long Ripple. So anybody who's long Ripple up here, what the fuck? I mean, that's just stupidity. No offense. I'm going to have professional football players coming to my door to beat me up. But if anything, maybe, they have to go through the process of learning how painful and how difficult this game of investing really is. But, I see sort of a descending wedge. I see one low. I see two low. I'm really feeling like this thing's got to dump down into here. I don't see any buying interest whatsoever. And maybe this is the kind of capitulation dump that needs to wash out the public, get them the hell out of this thing, because you should not be in this coin if you're a crypto enthusiast. I don't get why these people like it so much. And maybe that sort of marks our bottom. And what I find interesting about this too is there any sort of fundamental catalyst that might drive this? And what's really interesting is we have a psychological event coming up here the middle of March, where I often see people act extremely irrational through this. Here is one FA reason. Is this on Ripple? I don't really want to go into the fundamentals of Ripple. I don't really like the story. So, one thing that I've seen in my Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin's cool. It's totally awesome. Hey, Joshua, shh, you're stealing my thunder, man. One thing I've seen humans. I've been doing this for like 30 years. I don't know what it is, but I remember when I was a rookie in the business, and I used to. In fact, I should get Jack to come in and talk to you guys. I used to talk to the audience at length about this thing called the Ides of March, and you often see there's also a Japanese fiscal year end coming up through this window. So a lot of sort of big capital flows around the world are driven by that. Because I don't know whether it is anymore, but a long, long time in my career, Japan was the world's second largest economy. So there's that. And of course, everybody's talking China and stuff. But there's also a big sort of fundamental event happening here right in the middle of March. And I'm wondering, and maybe we should leave Ripple here for this conversation. But I'm wondering if we go back to Brian's crazy tweet, I'm wondering whether we have to have this final dump that sort of would match what we saw out of the 2013. I kind of think that we just went through this right here. Could we have that final dump over the next month? And the sad thing is it isn't quote unquote final, because I do believe later on in the spring and early summer we're actually going to see new lows, but that's here nor there. But do we have a dump here into this Ides of March window? And is there any sort of catalyst or anything that might drive this? And I don't know whether you guys saw, and I don't know whether it's part of this tweet, but the current U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin is actually calling for crypto regulatory talk at this G20 summit. And I've heard quite a few people talking about how there's going to be like a focus heading into this G20 summit. That gee whiz happens to be right in this Ides of March sort of window. Why am I sort of, trying to connect the dots here? I don't know whether you guys remember, but this dump here was right into the Senate, U.S. Senate, and what I like to affectionately call the Bitcoin Dad event. Where's Bitcoin Dad? I know there's another gentleman on Twitter that likes to go by the name of Bitcoin Dad, but I think this guy here totally is the Bitcoin Dad, for like the old fuddy-duddies in the market, and us, sort of millennial. Well, not really me, I'm not millennial, but a lot of you guys, you probably look at this guy as sort of like a dad figure, wherever the hell he is. He's somewhere back here. What's his name again? He's the CFTC chairman guy. So the U.S. government wanted to have big hearings on crypto and whether they should clamp down and just put the kibosh. Here he is, good old Bitcoin Dad. Whether they should put the kibosh on this guy on crypto. And ironically enough, and I don't even know whether he even intentionally meant for it to happen, but in essence, he became sort of like the crypto spokesman for all the old fuddy-duddies, right? And I don't know whether you guys remember this meeting, but the chair of this meeting, the guy's practically fucking dead. He's like 80, 90 years old. Anybody remember the guy who's actually chairing this meeting? I mean, he's like literally like total white hair, right? Total like old dude, right? So at this meeting, this guy actually looks like he's a young whippersnapper. So the point here, though, is that if Bitcoin was face ripping up and people were ICOing all over the place and making tons of money, then the tone of this meeting, I think, would have been, we got to put the fucking brakes on this thing. But because the price was heading down into this event, sort of sell the rumor, ironically enough, the tone coming out of this meeting was, well, they're getting their asses kicked, so there's really no point in us shitting on their heads right now. That's the way that the impression that I got. And he was coming out saying things like, we should support this community. We shouldn't put barriers in front of this community. We should, what was the quote? He had a really cool quote where it was like right off the top. He said just something like, it would be irresponsible of our generation to squash the hopes and dreams of the millennials, kind of thing. So the point that I'm trying to make here is for them to do that kind of scenario at this G20 meeting coming up, well, they got to kind of knock this price down, right? They can't have the market rip, roar, and rally up. Oh, where the hell did it go? I think it was this one, wasn't it? Oh, darn, I got rid of it. Ah, fudge. That was such a cool picture. Oh, well. Anyway, it's somewhere around here. You can't have, here it is. I don't think we could have Bitcoin face ripping up into that event, because then all the G20 bureaucrats are going to be like, oh, we got to shit on this thing. We got to stop it. We got to put the kibosh on it. So ironically enough, for crypto going forward, it's my opinion that the powers that be would actually prefer to have Bitcoin on the lows heading into this meeting. And in that way, the higher ups don't shit all over this space. I think me personally, I think it's a great idea that like the SEC and stuff come out and say, we got to put the kibosh on these ICOs. This is getting out of control. And, poor boxer, Evander Holyfield, I think was his name, right? Got totally hoodwinked by a bunch of scammers. We don't need that in our space, guys, right? If anything, I encourage all of you to be sort of the crypto evangelists. You guys, you guys are on the inside of this industry. And now, especially, my audience that are sitting in the hangout, watching your site members. Hey, Burns, I see you there. He's in the level 1 program. You now actually are the emissaries of good behavior in the marketplace. And because you guys already understand crypto, not only, do you have the technical work with a plan, don't take too much risk, trade setups, what are your 3 reasons, yada, yada, yada. But you guys also, and I depend on you guys in the lounge. Oh, Brian, that's a fucking shitcoin. Stay the hell away from that. Where's payment? Right? Half of the time I'll look at an idea and I'll go, what would Payman do here? There he is. Hey, buddy. So I lean on you guys, but you need to understand, guys, that you are light years, especially, our CFTC, our Garoppolo guys, even this Munchin guy. You guys, you're at a different level of education in this space. And, especially TRI people, you are the emissaries of good behavior. You know how to behave in the marketplace, but now you also know the fundamentals of crypto. You have incredibly important role here, all of you. I can't impress upon you enough. Ironically enough, you come to me to want to, learn how to trade, make money from trading. I'm going to turn this around on you. And I actually need you, all of my community, I need you to go out and help the public. Be like I keep saying, be the emissaries of good behavior. Because you know your shit. And the irony of it all is, I can absolutely guarantee you there was nobody, well, you better not have, but there was nobody at TRI touting to buy Ripple up here. In fact, as we were sort of listening to these public figures talking about buying Ripple up here, our community is like, what the hell are these people doing? It doesn't make any sense. But the sad part about it is this is what ends up happening to the public during these insane face rips. And of course, they get punished. They get humiliated. Obviously, they're a lot poorer. It's going to lead to emotions. And this is what I'm really afraid of here. And if anything, YouTube community who's even watching this, let's really try hard not to get sucked into the emotion of them unwinding this bull, whether it be this coin or whether, any of these. What I'm really worried about, and actually I like to see what I'm seeing here. That's good to see. But I was really worried about things like this ADA just falling right off the cliff here. So if we can actually get some structure in here, I'm going to feel a hell of a lot better about ADA, but he's looking awfully sick right now. I'd also encourage everybody too. Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, show me a bottom. Right now, this is still a little bit early, but show me a bottom, please. And not your bottom, Kevin. Thank you very much. I'm just kidding. What I would highly encourage everybody to do if you want to make money from trading, right? In fact, I'm going to put this out to our community. You all should know this, especially anybody who's a site member, level 1 or whatever on YouTube. Was the very first thing that I tried to teach you guys, very beginning of class. You want to go and look for something, find this. And what I find really interesting is that there are very few crypto stories out there that actually look attractive. But this little one has very quietly done exactly what we want. Thank you, Joshua. Perfect. Rocker, I want that weekly W's. Daniel, perfect. Jonas, perfect. Excellent. Good. Thomas, WW's. Rocker, weeklies. I want to see that out of this YouTube chat box too. Why are you guys sleeping over there? The issue here is we need to find levels at which we can take half decent risks. If you go and buy, the silly ripples and stuff at the top end of ranges, where's our crazy ripple? Ripple, where are you, Ripple? Oh, you're around here somewhere. This, Richard Sherman, awesome fucking defensive player in football. Oh, Richard, please. If you watch this, and anybody who knows Richard, I'll tell you what, Mr. Sherman, you come to TRI. You're less than maybe 50, 60 miles away from me. You're just down in Seattle. You come to TRI, Mr. Sherman. Anybody who knows Mr. Sherman, you come to TRI, I'll give you my level 1 course for free. That's my deal to you if you're watching this. But anyway, the point of the matter here is, remember, and I even showed you on this chart, where do you want to be long Ripple? Where do you want to take your shot? You want to take your shot where there are weekly W's. And unfortunately, the public comes in and buys up here, and they have to realize that, well, the W was actually way back here. Down, up, breakout. Right there. So, I mean, really, if you wanted to buy Ripple, I love this W. I love these W's. We could do reload zones. We talk Amanda's apartment, blah, 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 penthouse, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But, if we want to make money from trading, we got no business looking at an asset like this because where's support? Well, support is down below here. And sure enough, they're working her right back down there. So when we look at some of these ideas, this is one of the only ones that has actually got weekly W's working. And what a surprise, it's actually moving up here right now. It shouldn't surprise anybody, any TRIers that have been around here a while. But, this is the secret formula, guys. It's just that simple. It doesn't matter whether you're trading stocks. Like, what's so cool is, people, what the hell is that? Twitter. People on the site were all like, hey, Twitter. And we go, well, it's the same shit. Right? You can see the weekly W's. Should you be a buyer of Twitter up here now? But you can definitely see where you should have been loading up. Pretty obvious. So the irony of actually being a good technical analyst is I'm Mr. Sherman. I'm Mr. Sherman, and so's my wife. That's good, Rob. Thanks, man. Yeah, you can make me smile. Oh, that's good. Hey, who can remember what movie that's from? I'm Brian, and so's my wife. But anyway, it isn't unique amongst the investment community. This is actually a pretty universal term. And the bottom line, and like I said, you want to see an example of one that's actually working right in front of our faces. It's this silly Ethereum Classic, ETC. And what's interesting too is Barry's been awfully quiet of late, eh? I have a funny feeling he's building towards something big here. Not making any predictions, but the interesting thing is if I was going to take a bet in the marketplace, this is a kind of an idea. I don't know whether I would buy it here. I think we have like short-term momentum trade setups working right now. Move stop to trailing has been hit here. So if anything, the people that did take this trade are working long positions. But by all means, if we got any serious dip, I wouldn't have a problem picking up some more of this on any kind of reload zone tag. In fact, actually, this is really cool because you can see 78.6 is going to be right against these lows here. Going to be basically the bottom part of value. Look at that cheeky little tail in there. So you want to work if you did want to be a buyer of a ETC, I think you probably want to concentrate down here. You can't chase it up here. But it's just such a good example of names that do have weekly W's working. Actually, if you were sitting in here in the market, you wouldn't even be concerned with what the hell's going on with Bitcoin right now. Yeah, there's been a lot of back-end development of Brian's ass too, eh? Daniel says there's been a lot of back-end development of ETC. I'm Brian, so is my wife. Oh, good find, Josh. Good find. All right, so there are stories out there. Don't get me wrong. And what's really cool is we're now into that window. What do you think? The public, are they really interested in altcoins right now? Do you think any of the public is interested in buying an altcoin right now? Probably not, eh? So now's the time when you really want to go into super stocking mode. Yeah, and Joshua here, actually, we should, everybody in the public should see a picture of Joshua. Let's see, I think I've got a portrait of him around here somewhere. You know what's coming, Joshua. You know what's coming. Where is Joshua? Joshua's around here somewhere. Joshua, where are you? I saw you when I was scrolling earlier. Joshua, I know you're around here somewhere. I can feel it getting warmer, getting warmer, getting warmer. Where is Joshua? Oh, come on. It's taking forever. Seriously? There he is. Joshua, what's so cool about Joshua is he picked up on, and I never know, totally. I never know what concept is going to appeal to different people. You just never know. It turns out that this concept of trading gaps totally resonated with Joshua, and he just fucking ran with the ball. And I'm so proud of him because, this shit works. It's just you got to build a plan. You got to commit to the plan. You got to take the trades. So I just hats off to Joshua, but there he is. But, there's lots and lots of coins. There was one that I was seriously looking at just the other day. What the hell was the name of it? Geez, I got too many damn names. What was the one that had all those gaps in that I was looking at the other day? Anyway, there's so many. Joshua, do you have one that you just got filled on? Probably he's got probably a dozen or so. But there was one that I was buying the other. I don't know whether I bought any or as I was just working bids. I probably put the tweet out, but geez, it slipped my mind just off the top of my head. Darn. Anyway, my advice to everybody here is, pull up your charts, go and hunt those gaps, reload zones, but bottom of value kind of idea. Get those bids working. I was kind of hoping one would just pop up here. Did I buy some of these okay on a gap? I think I got this on a gap, Phil. I can't remember. Darn. Slipped my mind. Fudge. Oh, well, we'll leave it for another day. Anyway, point of the matter. Oh, here's one. What do you got for us here, Joshua? What do you got? Boom. All right. So, here is one that he's working, FTCC. I'm not going to comment on the fundamentals of this, but You can see how it popped up here and came back and just basically had to fill that in. So it looks like he got filled and sold some more. Is that what happened? Oh, it looks like he rebought a bit more on this gap. And of course, he's selling. So, it's just typical day in the markets trading gaps. GRC and GAME. Hey, Alexander, where the hell have you been? I've got a bunch of people over in Holland who are demanding that I get off my ass and get over there. Oh, was it Omni? I think it was Omni, wasn't it? I think it was. It might have been it. So the point is that, oh yeah, here we go. Where the hell is that off the dailies? So here's a good example. And the problem here now, of course, right? If I talk about Omni here, there's going to be some sort of whale or something that's going to be like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to totally hit that guy into the ground. You know it's coming. But anyway, the point here is here's a really good example where we just identify a trading range. I really like to concentrate on this. And we just have a simple rule. All level 1ers learn this. I'm not allowed to even think about buying this asset until I'm at least at. I know, Rob. I can't. I can't get. I'm an idiot. So actually, I know I know you guys long enough. Anybody in Vancouver that I've known for 4 years, you could actually be my guarantor now, because I've actually been doing this site for 4 years. So if anybody who's been working with me since the TradingView days here in Vancouver, maybe I'll use you as my guarantor. Because I had my friend of mine, she was going to do it in Alberta, but man, this turned into a nightmare. Anyway, back to our story here. And thanks for reminding me, guys. But here, a good example, I draw my reload zone. I look at this, and I want to be long this asset. I love this asset, right? Because if you look at this, one thing I absolutely love about the Coinigy guys is if you go and put chart on here and you click economy, it'll actually tell you how many coins are out. Look at that, only 559,000 coins. Well, that makes me super sexy whenever I see that. Here is an hourly chart. You can see how there's a gap right here. Look how they, I mean, and you have to understand with venture cap, right? These things gap all the time. But the point here is, 500,000 coins out. Geez, I want a chunk of this thing so bad. But, I draw my reload zones. I see where value is. This isn't bad working a bid here. Basically, I'm going to be up against where a whole bunch of other people are also long. So it's not a bad area to go shopping. Could you work your stink bid below value? That would be a total hogue trade. Yeah. Like I said, because I've talked about this today here, it wouldn't surprise me some whale comes on and goes, oh, I'm going to embarrass that Beamish guy. Let's fucking drive this thing into the ground. So if anything, get your stinky bids going down below here just in case that guy does decide to do that. But here's just a great example where this thing was going zooming up. I draw my reload zones. I identify this as a gap on the price chart, going to work my bid, and doink, right into my level and jackknifes away. So typical gaps. So I see you guys in the lounge are talking about PAC. Is that thing actually starting to move? I totally bought that thing as a total piece of crap coin. It was fun. And if anything, you know what? That's actually a really good analogy. Everybody could really learn from this, including good old Brian. But PAC, where did we buy this? Did we buy it on Cryptopia? Is that where we got it? I thought it was on like Binance or something that we bought this thing. Was it Cryptopia? Oh, okay. So you can see it did all this shit, right? And everybody's like, well, if I buy it at 1 sat, I could easily get 2, right? There's 2 there. Look at it going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And sadly, I think what's ended up happening here is they just, they goaded people into getting this. And it just hasn't moved an inch. But the cool part about it is I've got my order at 2 sats, and I'm just going to let it work. If it gets my fill, it gets my fill. But, am I holding my breath for this thing? No, it's more fun than anything else. If I understand the story correctly, They were actually trading this thing relative to Doge and one other coin. What was the other one that they were trading it against? Do you remember? And it was trading at like 0.0001 Doge. So you can imagine 0.00001 versus BTC. This is fucking rich. If it's trading 1-to-1, you know, 0.01 sat of Doge. So, you know, the irony of it all is one sat versus BTC is actually extremely expensive for this thing. If I'm not mistaken, too, isn't there like a bazillion, gazillion, jazillion coins? And if I understand correctly, too, they're gonna like roll this thing back, eh? So it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out. It's total flyer, total flyer. This is not quality investing. And if anything, this is a really, really good analogy of what ends up happening at the end of ridiculous bull markets. You almost always see shit like this at the end of nutso insane markets. And you just, if anything, you have to force yourself not to get sucked into this nonsense. Brian couldn't resist, and I even threw like a 0.025 BTC at this thing just for fun. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Kind of a fun story. You know what'll probably happen is this thing will get cleaned up just about the exact time that Bitcoin finishes its consolidation and is ready to start climbing the wall of worry again. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And the great part about a guy like me, man, I mean, I own like probably half of the damn cryptoverse. I don't know. You know, the funny thing is this old website's kind of broken. It doesn't really show our entire portfolio. But even here, it's showing that we own 199 coins. All right, Daniel, take it easy, bud. It's really nice seeing you. And, you know, just a quick shout out to the LA group. Daniel was there the other night before you take off. I was so proud of you guys. I was so impressed. Let's see, where is Daniel? He's in here somewhere. Where are you, Daniel? I was so impressed with Thomas, my sort of, you know, the resident bear. There he is, handsome guy. There's Daniel over there. I heard, Daniel, are you still here or are you gone? No, I heard that you had to drive like 2 hours for this. Is that real? Oh my goodness. Joshua, where's Joshua? Is that him over there? I heard somebody actually flew in from Australia. Oh, is this Joshua over here? I wanted nameplates for all you guys. And that's what's her name? Quinn, right? That's Quinn right there, eh? Yeah, so Quinn took some pictures too, so that was cool. But anyway, what a handsome group. And you know, even the tweet that I put out was kind of like, you know, this is why I do this, is I love this karmic connection, right? It's just beautiful. Look at all the smiles, just happy people. So proud of you guys. So way to go, Daniel. And I saw your reply. It really touched me that you guys had a good time. So that was awesome. Guy on far right flew from Australia. Oh, this gentleman here is this guy? Far right. Left is over here. Right's over here. Oh, did he really? Huh. Wow, incredible. Well, hope your arms aren't too tired. Okay, well, I've been blabbing away here for about an hour and a half. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope people got some half-decent value out of it today. If anything, I just wanted to sort of, you know, give an overview to the community and to the public of sort of what I'm seeing out of the crypto space. I'm actually overdue. Got to head over to Liam now. So I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. You know, by all means, if you didn't, well, I'm sorry. You know, I'll see everybody on the site first thing tomorrow morning. And let's, you know, try and play from a position of strength. On balance, I'm actually encouraged by what I'm seeing here over the short term. Looks like we've dodged a little bit of a bullet, a nice little inside bar off the 4 hours, so that's good. You know, the moving averages on the dailies of actually institutional averages are kind of leaning bear now. We do have a double M working on the short-term momentum indicator. So I'm not overly bullish just yet, but let's clean this up. And maybe if we're lucky, we're going to do this inverted head and shoulders, but we'll talk lots about that tomorrow morning. Okay, guys, you have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.